Chapter.
So once again, very good morning all. We are very we are here combined together for today's early morning section. We are here for a conference which has been organized by the Department of Education, University of Mumbai, in collaboration with B.L. Amlani College of Commerce and Economics. It is an international conference in the innovative approach.
Yeah, we can't hear you.
Sir. No, sir, problem.
Sir, little louder.
Okay. Very good morning, all. We are combined. We are gathered here for the international conference, which has been conducted by the Department of Education, University of Mumbai, in collaboration with B.L. Amlani College of Commerce and Economics, Villipalli, Mumbai. For the inauguration, I would like to request Dr. Jitendra Aharkar, sir, the principal of B.L. Amlani College of Commerce and Economics, Villipalli. I would like to request sir to have a few words on. Over to you, sir. Jitendra, sir, over to you.
Am I audible?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
At the outset, I wish everybody a heartily welcome from Department of Education, University of Mumbai, in collaboration with B.L. Amlani Women's College, affiliated to University of Mumbai. It's a great opportunity for our college to have a collaboration with Department of Education, University of Mumbai. And a special thanks to Dr. Sunita Magre, the head of the Department of Education, University of Mumbai, the fellow colleagues of the department, as well as Dr. Sinha ma'am, who has joined us from Bahrain. Ma'am, welcome to our e-conference. And we wholeheartedly welcome each and every participant, fellow students, representative from different departments and universities, as well as fellow members from YouTube.
Thank you, sir.
Over to Ashantaram, sir.
Next, I would like to welcome and I would like to call our own Dr. Sunita Magre, madam, the professor, head of the Department of Education, University of Mumbai, for addressing our participants about our today's conference. Over to you, madam.
Thank you, sir. On behalf of the Department of Education, University of Mumbai, and the B.L. Amlani College, Principal Dr. Jitendra Aharkar, I welcome to all the participants in this international conference, which is organized by these two institutions. And the theme of the conference is the innovative approaches in higher education. Now, innovative approaches in higher education. Now, we last 2 years, we faced a lot of challenges in the education, and specifically in this pandemic situation. Now, in this pandemic situation, all the schools are running online. But can we think which type of the innovation is useful for the student as well as for the student, those who are studying higher education, as well as the schooling part of the school education. Now, the innovation in education means you have to solve the real problems in a new situation, or it is a simple way to promote the equitable learning. Innovation in education, I think it's the way to make education more faster, more cheaper, more flexible, and the more cost effective. Educational innovation is understood procedure or a method of educational activities that differ significantly with established practices, and it is used to increase the level of efficiency in various competitive environments. When we study our National Policy of Education 2020, so National Policy of Education 2020, they give this trust upon the experiential learning. Am I audible now? Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. You are audible.
Okay. So the national, we think on the National Policy of Education 2020. So when we go through that National Policy of Education 2020, so this policy gives the more importance of the experiential learning. What that experiential learning? So through experiential learning, which encourages critical thinking and the creative problem solving skills in our students, which becomes the essence of innovation. And what is our role? The role of the academics. We are the academics, and our role is very important. So the role of academics are playing innovative approaches of teaching and learning to ensure that the student learning process is free flowing and stimulates students towards mastering the problem-based learning, towards the mastering the project-based learning, towards the mastering of challenges-based learning. So there are the various components when we study innovation. So there are the various innovative development components of the innovative developments in the higher education institution, like one is the staff development, social development, economic development, technical development, technical as well as the technological development, organizational development, development of educational processes, development of scientific and the research work, development of international cooperation. So these are the various components of the innovative developments. And we will discuss in these various papers comes on this basis also. So we will discuss on that paper. And when we studied the innovation in education, is a very broader concept. It includes the educational, scientific, technological, infrastructure, economic, legal, administrative, and the various kinds of the innovation. The scientific and the technological innovation, the result of this, the research, basically it is based on the research and the development in the shape of the intellectual properties. And they are transferred for the implementation and the application and production. In social innovation, which is include the social support for students and the universities, creating safe conditions for study as well as the extracurricular activities of students, formulation of the socially responsible higher education institution. Educational innovation are mainly the purpose is the oriented activity, organizational solution system, process or method of implementation of various educational activities which are different from the already established practices and we are already used in the institution and are aimed at improving the efficiency of functioning and the development of organization in a competitive environment. There are the various innovations like in the field of education, pedagogical innovation. What is this pedagogical innovation? The change of style in teaching and the organization of the educational process. Introduction of innovative models of education that turn the education character into the essence and instrumentally important characteristics as the purpose-oriented organization. Scientific and methodological innovation is updating the content of educational programs in accordance with the best domestic and the foreign counterparts. Education in technological innovation, they use the various new and improved learning technologies like online learning, internet technology, which are provide the student and the teacher with the access to the electronic media, electronic libraries. So these are about the innovation in education. I wholeheartedly welcome all the participants and the keynote speaker, Chitra ma'am, and organization committee, Jitendra Herkar sir, our advisory committee members, those who are joining within some time. So I thank you all the coordinators and the organizing committee of these conferences, and once again, welcome to all the participants.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
International conference. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for such a warm welcome, for such a wonderful section which you have started, you have begun with. Thank you so much, ma'am. Ma'am, shall we begin with our section, ma'am?
Yes, yes.
Next, I would like to welcome our keynote speaker, Dr. Chitra Sinha, ma'am. When we talk about ma'am, she is a gender studies specialist, a co-founder of Koigi Consultancy, Education and Training in Bahrain. She has been an academia for more than 3 decades in India, USA, Sweden, South Africa, and Bahrain. She has been associated with the Center for the Gender Research, Uppsala University, Sweden, the University of Free State, Bloemfontein, South Africa, Royal University for Women, Bahrain School of Women's Studies, Jadavpur University, Kolkata Research Center for School of Women's Studies, SNT University, Mumbai Center for the Studies of Women, UCLA, USA University of Mumbai, and Visva Bharati University, Santi Niketan. She has also certified in international law for Universiteit Catholique de Leuven, Belgium, and the human resource management from Cornell University, USA. She has been a recipient for several fellowships, including fellowship of the Royal Asiatic Society, Mumbai, Pandit Setu Madhav Rao, Pagadi Fellowship, Government of Maharashtra, New India Foundation Book Writing Fellowship, and the South Asia Regional Fellowship of Social Science Research Council, Ford Foundation, USA. Her book including Debating Patriarchy, the Hindu Code Bill Controversy in India, 1941-56, Oxford University Press, and Discourse and Identity Foundation Parliamentary Debate in Bahrain, co-authored with the Lamia Alkoheji bin Benjamin Publishing House, the Netherlands. We wholeheartedly welcome you, ma'am, for today's session. We are very excited, and I'm very excited about reading your bio. It is a very opportunity for me to know something very good about you. We welcome you, ma'am, for today's session. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you so much. And thank you for a bit embarrassing introduction. But yes, I did get opportunity to work in various countries, but ultimately I'm a Mumbaiker. Bombay is my city of joy. I lived there for many years. I have studied at the University of Mumbai. So I have come home. So yeah, as I speak, I can visualize Kalina campus and my department. And I don't know how many of you I have bumped, maybe passed by in the campus or in the canteen. I am very happy to be here, and I thank the organizers and Dr. Sunita Magre, Professor and Head of Education, University of Mumbai, Professor Jitendra Ahirkar, who has been in touch with me for giving me this opportunity to speak in this very important conference today. I can see there are quite a few participants here. Those who are attending through Zoom, there may be several others who are watching on YouTube and other forum, I don't know. I welcome all of them and I thank them for being here. This global pandemic, as we know, is indeed a watershed moment in the history of humanity. The pandemic has affected every one of us, every sphere of our economic and social life. And it is maybe a little premature to evaluate the impact of COVID-19 on higher education, as the complex interactions are not yet clear. However, 2022 is seen as a year of hope. And when we look into our experiences over the last 2 years and try to strategize towards the future, this is perhaps the opportune moment to draw some lessons, even if not, meaning we are still working on it, for the sector, education sector, in light of our recent experiences. Yeah, as I mean, as you all know by now, that I have been fortunate to be associated with various universities and various parts of the world, and have seen the various, the kind of way of functioning, administration, method of teaching at universities in India and abroad. I started my teaching career with Rabindranath Tagore's Shanti Niketan, where it is an open air class, system. There are no classrooms for regular classes. I think this is very important now, because if we can take students out in the open, this I have seen in Sweden also, like where small children generally have their classes out in the open. So this is a unique experience which we all are trying to use now, maybe. And then in Bombay, in Sweden, the university I'm still associated with is Uppsala University, which is set up in 1477, a very old university, more than 400 years. So they too have their unique ways of teaching, learning. Then in South Africa, and this Royal University for Women in Bahrain. In Bombay, I started with Jai Hind College, which many of you may know. And when I left Bombay, I was with SNDT Women's University Research Center of Women's Studies. However, for this pandemic, that we understand the stress and its remedies, we need an analytical structure. How do we look at COVID-19 from an institutional viewpoint? That is, from the perspective of the educational institutions, the educators, as well as the students. What do the different stakeholders in university ecosystem need, and how can such needs be fulfilled? What are the challenges that are likely to be encountered? I think Professor Sunita Magre gave a very good summary of the points that need to be addressed to, and I hope it will be discussed in the sessions ahead. I think I'm audible, am I?
Yes,
okay.
Yes.
Yes,
Okay. The answers to these questions, in my opinion, are hidden in several interrelated issues that require a holistic assessment. While this requires extensive discussion, let me just point out some core issues that stare at institutions of higher education. I'll begin with universities. The first point I would like to stress is the university need a strategic shift. First and foremost, it is about the ability of university as an abode of learning to adapt itself to a new ways of life, preserving the mission and vision of the university in the changing world is no longer a luxury, it is a necessity now. We need, as educators, we know that whatever changes come and whatever we need to, whatever policy we need to adopt, we cannot compromise on the quality of education and our standard of excellence. This requires adapting a dynamic economy through strategic shifts, transformation in the governance and operational framework in the context of increasing digitization of learning models. Success in this is dependent on the institution's ability to course correct while retaining the core identity and purpose, while figuring out what outcome they want for their students. While preparing students to become active and responsible citizens of the world, socially aware and conscious human being should be at the heart of institutional efforts. It cannot be denied that rapid changes in the world outside the universities require a more flexible educational solution. While teacher-student interaction should continue as a basis for knowledge transfer, the university community must thrive as a place where students can collaborate, join extracurricular activities and community service. Demands of the digital world will require other important institutional initiatives like technology transfer, digital competency, and connections with industry and government. Thus, beyond pedagogical changes, universities must serve as a link between the society and industry. This must be accepted. It must be accepted that blended learning has already cemented its place as the predominant form of knowledge delivery. While some institutions, by virtue of early adoption of hybrid learning models, were able to ensure a smooth transition to socially distanced online learning during the pandemic, others struggled to catch up. It became clear that, that in uncertain world, institutions are agile, are best suited to survive. Like the university where I taught in Bahrain, 30% blended learning was mandatory since like 2013, 2014. So like it was very easy to shift to full online class system. But in Indian context, as I know, it is totally another story. I think I leave it for the presenters to deal with that. In the hybrid learning model, webinars, discussion threads, online forums hold a lot of promise. However, by itself, they cannot provide a comprehensive educational journey. Students learn as much outside classroom as they do inside. For this, it is important to leverage and build on pre-existing institutional mechanisms. The new model is not here to replace the old ways of learning. It is a complementary model, and synergies of both old and new can take higher education forward. The new journey will bring to the fore new risks for institutes of higher learning and will demand innovative mechanisms to address them. One example is data privacy. As technology becomes integrated into teaching in a meaningful way, the relevant issues of data protection, security, and regulatory compliances must be considered. The university management, teaching, as well as non-teaching staff must be made aware of data security and privacy issues, as well as non-teaching staff must be made aware of data security and privacy issues and their respective regulatory regime, like called GDPR. In Europe, for instance, similar personal data protection laws in other countries. In Europe, educators are responsible for protecting all student data using encryption and other anonymizing technologies. The concept of privacy by design must be planned into the blended learning process. Secondly, the universities need alignment with the market. In recent shifts of higher education must be analyzed from the student learning perspective, imparting the skill set that empowers students for the future is something that is in the mind of the educators and management for a long time. However, it is undeniable that needs of the industry is changing. Rapid digitalization in the industry calls for a different skill set from the ones the university equip its students with. In the line of growing innovation in industry, there is a perception that university do not produce the skill needed in the industry. This requires a relook at the university's strategic mission. This calls for an emphasis on competency-focused learning. Student competence needed to align with the industry requirement has emerged as a primary objective of education to foster a link between education and contemporary society that moves fast towards the digital world. It is imperative for the university to be in dialogue with the industry. Universities must understand digital invasion of the workplace, often termed as digital Taylorism, with the advent of digital workers through robotic process automation. The human workforce is being replaced by cheaper digital workforce for repetitive to creative, from operational knowledge to analytical knowledge. From a strategic perspective, an ideal approach happens to be twofold. Firstly, enhancing digital competence and digital skill set. And secondly, forging stronger collaboration with industries and labor market in a planned manner. This include tie-ups from the co-op schemes, internships to give students the opportunity to interact with the market, a holistic strategy with all stakeholders in mind. Then research mindset and student-centered learning is one another important thing. Clearly, universities want students to become employable. We do not want students transition to unemployable workforce. So skill set is very important, but it is not simple choice between a STEM workforce and liberal arts. There is a space for all disciplines in this changing world. The universities should understand and adjust to the practical needs of modern society. One approach known as student-centered learning, SCL, to take greater responsibility for their learning with the faculty as facilitators. This will also require changes in the current evaluation model. The other is to acknowledge and that competence is more than just knowledge and skill. It is the ability to face complex demands by using them in specific situations to perform the tasks very successfully. And let us not forget that educators have their own challenges. Universities have undergone critical organizational changes and enormous technological investment as the result of the pandemic. The digital transformation in universities is now widespread and is moving towards the creation of a more hybrid learning spaces where discourse, formats, tools, people, and contexts are all mixed. In many universities, investment in technology and digital tools has been so high that there is interest in monetizing this hybrid model by offering this learning system after the expected recovery from the pandemic occurs. The role of educators is crucial in this new model. It has been observed that studies related to the academic quality of blended and online courses during COVID outbreak. Studies have highlighted that need of a competent educator and teaching skills needed to implement the hybrid model. Many teachers are the first-time digital adopters or digital immigrants, while the student community are largely digital natives. This hybrid model means accepting ICT as a foundation of learning interaction, and this creates insecurity among lecturers due to the uncertainty of the student learning outcomes, the effort required by educators to maintain their image, and the need for technical support during lectures. While making suitable changes in the pedagogic model, one must seriously consider empowering the teaching faculty by providing them access and updating digital capabilities. I have many friends back home, especially teaching in schools and maybe in colleges, those who are handling the entire teaching learning process on their cell phone, so training of ICT and constantly upgrading it is becoming very important. Some key challenges that I would like to mention and end my talk with it is the key challenges in the transformation of the space of higher learning. The first relates to the financing constraints. The pandemic has created a visible financing constraint. There is a resource constraint at all levels. State, institutions, family, all face financial hardships. In such situation, judicious allocation of finance is very necessary. Even with the best expert advice, there is a danger of spending on most profitable and not on the socially desirable, thus creating negative social externalities. One such area is equity in resource distribution. Much of the discussion on the hybrid learning completely overlooks the economic disparities among recipients of higher education. Higher education is the only legitimate ladder for upward mobility for lower income segments. Recovery of ICT investments through fee hike may deny the vulnerable segments the opportunity of upward mobility. Innovation is desirable only when such changes benefit all strata of society. This depends only on the institution, not only on the institutions, but the ability and commitment of the state also. Let us not forget that the record of market-based economic models have been pretty dismal in reducing social inequalities. Therefore, if left to the market forces, we may be fueling inequalities in the digital transition of higher education. I'm sure that in today's seminar, many of these aspects will be discussed and more aspects will come into discussion, and many other issues will be raised too. Universities play an important role in the knowledge and skill development for the leaders of tomorrow. Therefore, universities must not only understand the changing socioeconomic environment, but at the same time, look internally to carry out necessary alterations in governance and operational models to remain relevant and as much as possible and be socially responsible. So thank you once again to bringing me back to Bombay, and all the best for the
Thank you, madam. Thank you.
Thank you so much, madam. Thank you so much, Chitra ma'am, for highlighting us about what is necessary to be done in looking at the current pandemic situation and what the changes can be occurred in our education department. Thank you so much, ma'am, for highlighting us.
Thank you. Thank you. It was a pleasure being here.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Now I request the participant who all wish to participate the paper kindly mention in the chat box. The participant who wish to present their paper kindly mention in the chat box so we can call out you in a sequential manner.
Manoj Pillai.
Yes, sir.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I am.
Dr. L.S. Pathak.
Yeah.
Myself, I am ready, sir.
Okay.
Okay.
Please from Dr. L.S. Pathak.
Okay, sir. Yeah, sir. Please begin with me, sir. I request all other participants to kindly get ready with your presentation. So, as soon as
Second one is Manoj Pillai.
Okay.
okay,
Yes, ma'am. I am ready.
Yes, I'm audible, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Yes. Can I start?
Yes, sir. Please.
Yes.
ನನ್ನ ಹೆಸರು ಕಳಿಸ್ಬರ್ರಿ ನಾನು ಪ್ರೆಸೆಂಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀನಿ
Good morning, everybody.
ಇದ್ರಲ್ಲಿ ಕಳಿಸ್ಬೇಕಂತ
Good morning, everybody.
Morning, sir.
I am heartfully thanks for the organizers for organizing such a beautiful international conference, and all entire team of the University of Bombay Department of Education and MKL BL Amdani College of Commerce and Economics, and all stakeholders and participants. My paper is on innovative approaches in higher educations. Bill Gates has rightly said that the use of technology coupled with bold decisions leap from into this inclusive growth and improving the quality of health and educations. Today, there are tools available to transform learnings from an academic exercise to an engaging experience in imaginative and experimental learning. Pervasive and persistent technology have today redefined the conventional role of the teachers. There have been initiatives to introduce technology into the realm and of educations. Digital revolutions and digital technology is very rare, and it has changed the world in more than one way. We are running in 21st centuries where technology no bound. This is the phase of radicals departmental where technology is taking over every niche and corners. Smartphones, laptops, tablets, etc. are no more unknown to the world. During this phase, particularly post-COVID-19 era, the education system is drastically changed and evolving for the sake of betterment as this generation's students and not want to be confined by the limit of simple learning. Their curiosity is vast and cannot be catered with the educational system that were designed earlier. If we kept on the teaching our children the way we taught them yesterday, we would deprive them of their tomorrow. Our old educational system lacks the capability to standard a change in 21st century, particularly pandemic era. So we are compelled to use digitalization in our education system.
Sir?
Yes, sir.
So, sorry to interrupt you. Due to time constraint, we request
Yeah. Sure, sir.
5 to 7
Sir,
minutes.
sir, take you 15 minutes. No problem.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay. Concept of the innovative approach in higher educations. The 21st century has been rightly termed, as we say that, as a digital area. The digital evolutions in India education sector started with management colleges like the Indian Institute of Management and other commerce colleges, computer colleges, etc. From providing computer labs to fully computerized libraries, the institutes gradually initiated digital practices. Laptop become a common in institutions among students studying all type of educations. Exams were no longer limited to pen and paper, as it was replaced by computerized exams. PowerPoint presentations were accepted as a project submitted by the student. It is soon realized that learning no longer revolves around the ability to just read, write, and crude numbers. Broad outline of innovative approach, we can say that the new phases of learning has begun and involves various advanced technology like online courses, online examinations, digital textbooks, animation, etc. We can say that so far present scenario of the higher education's policy is concerned. According to the World Economic Forum, the demand of technologies and computations thinking skills will grow by about 50 by 2025. This technology will create 2.1 million jobs by 2022, which will be required knowledge in computing, That is why it is important to incorporate digitalization in the learning and teaching process, which will help students in critical thinking, innovations, collaborations, and problem solving. Along with the primary syllabus, the curriculum should always also focus on technology, innovations, general skills, and business management. Other than the Indian government, various private organizations also supporting Indians' digital initiatives for education. Software major Microsoft working with Atal Tinkering Lab across 25 schools in the country to empower students and teachers with technologies. Skill it is also pursuing for the use of the clouds computing for the creating of efficient digital lab experience. India as a nation is on a growth path in education sectors and digitizations is supporting to the collective effort of public and private sector to realize the dream of become the educational hub of the world. The education institution, particularly to give high education, have become ineffectual to give value-based education to the peoples. So there is also a crime to cultivate essential value in the people so that the civilization that teaches us to manage complexities can be sustained and further developed. It become at home and it continue in the education institution. At this juncture, I recall the word of the great philosopher, Visual. He said, it is better to be a man of value than a man of success. India's government's initiative in field of innovative approaches in higher educations. Our Prime Ministers of India, Narendra Modi, emphasized on the digital India campaign look to the increase the scope of the technology across the country and also has helped transform the education system in the country. The campaign aimed to ensure better connectivity and maximize the potential of Indians. Much talk about demographics divided. The following key initiative taken by Indian government that we all know. First, Swayam Prabha, National Digitized Library, E-Sodhan Sidhu, Hostel, Virtual Lab, etc. And last but not the least, my conclusion is that the great philosophical journalist Elgin said that technology can become the wings that will allow the educational world to fly further and faster than ever before it will be allowing. Last but not the least, nowadays the studies on digitalizations of higher educations are of prime important to policymakers, educationalists, bureaucrats, politicians, and world leaders. Study based specifically on the internationalization and digitalization in the higher education sector have been performed in numerous regions of the world. That Almari 2011 in Saudi Arabia, Leo died 2013, and Chen on View 2013, and Mitra 2010 in India. We saw the importance given by the researchers and reflects the respective nation needs to digitize. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for such a wonderful presentation. Next, I would like to call Manoj Pillai, sir.
Thank you, sir. Am I audible?
So I just wanted to check: is it possible organizers to give us the who's going second, who's going third, so that we just keep our things prepared?
No, ma'am, we request you to kindly get ready with your presentation whenever the organizers are calling.
Okay, we are ready with our thing. Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yes, sir. Manoj Pillai, sir.
Yeah, sir, am I audible?
Yes, sir. You're audible.
Okay, thank you, sir. Respected Sunita ma'am, Jitendra sir, Chitra ma'am, and all other dignitaries. Today, my subject is vocational education, a stepping stone towards developed India. My presentation is visible, sir?
Yes, sir, it is visible.
Okay, thank you, sir. So here, the vocational education is a stepping stone towards developed India. All of us know that, okay, it is a long cherished dream to become a developed India. How it is possible? Okay, now the answer is vocational education and training. Okay, here is what my today's paper is. Okay, so I am getting to the my one keyword that is of developed country. Here you can see a tree, okay, in which the different components I made it like this. Here the roots are there, that is main root, that is mainstream education, and the roots are the vocational education. Government is the main stem, industries which is connected to the people, that is leaves of this tree. Now, here I want to tell that now the people, being in a developed country, the people are closely associated with the industry, and the industries are cherished by the government, and the strong government depends on the education it is provided in that country. Now, while telling about this education, today in our country, the mainstream education is given, in which we are more focused on language, skill, and the other mathematical skill, but not that much on vocational education. But in order to develop a country, we must have to give more stress on vocational education. Okay, so that okay we can be as a country we can be cherished. Now, what is the need of a skill while talking about? Okay, main thing we know that it is to the eradication of poverty. Now we know that our country is 1.4 billion people. Now, while telling about this poverty eradication and the skill, okay, we are actually born with a skill. Okay, that all of you know that. The skill of talking, the skill of making sound. This time, okay, while telling about this, we born with a skill. I remember a story. Okay, that is of very famous in the folklore of Kerala. That is, it is called the story is of Paraipetta Pantirakula. That is, okay, Parai is a lower caste woman who delivered 12 children. Okay, now this folklore is tells like that. Here the this Varajuchi. Varajuchi is the father of this 12 children, and her mother is Panchami, who is from the lower caste. And Varajuchi is a Brahmin, and he is believed to be one of the wise men of Vikramaditya. Now, what happened after marrying this Panchami? This Varajuchi is gone for a travel. That is entire life it is telling to be he traveled. Now, for them, they are born a first child. Now, while it is on traveling, okay, they may pass through the forest. So, at the besides of the bush, this Panchami would have to give the birth to the child. So, after giving birth, the Varajuchi may ask from the other side of the bush whether the child have mouth, whether the child has mouth. The mother would have tell that yes, okay, the child has mouth. So the Varajuchi would have to tell, okay, then leave that child there. You come with me. So this their travel go on. Second child born, same way. Whether the child has mouth, yes, leave the child, you come. Like that, 11 child were born. Now, being a mother, okay, for her, she wanted a child with her. So when it was of 12th child, the same question asked, that is of whether the child has mouth. Then the Panchami told, without looking into the child, the Panchami told, no, child don't have a mouth. So the Varajuchi told, okay, you take that child with you. And after telling this, the story tells like that the child actually didn't have a mouth. And he is later known as the Vaillappan Kunnilappan. And the Variruji made him a demigod and placed him on a hill, and the people started to worship. What actually the story is telling about? What Variruji looked in every child. After the birth of the child is having a mouth means, okay, he is born with a skill. So now he will live his own. Okay, so we need not to worry about that. And if the child is don't have a mouth, that is what happened to the 12th child. Okay, that is take that child with me. That is, it is our responsibility to take care of that child because he don't have the skill of talking. So this is about the skill education. Okay, that is if we are providing education, but after providing education, we are not making skill, we are making children as demigods. That is, they become the responsibility of the nation because they cannot live their own. So, all dignitaries, here comes the importance of the skill education. Okay, that is the occasional education. Now, like that, when a child is getting to the school, okay, now it is like that, that child is getting into the womb of the mother. Now, womb of the mother means, okay, the safest place on the earth. Now, when a child is getting to the school, okay, that child is getting into the womb of the mother like that. And for 12 to 15 years, okay, while telling about that child become in the womb, that is the safe place on the earth. So every school must be a safe place on the earth for the children. Now, after coming out of this school, the real parent must ask a question to the child, no, to the teachers, whether my child has a mouth. At that time, the child, the educator must have to give the answer that yes, the child has a mouth. Because if we provide skill to that child, when the child is coming out of the school, if the child is able to leave his own by taking some skilled work, okay, or whatever it is. Okay, so there, okay, here comes the importance of the skill education. I just narrate this story to answer. Now, so the poverty education. Okay, now you know that in the developed country, we will commonly know that after the completion of the education, especially the 18, after 18 years, normally the children normally separate from the parents, or okay, they no more depend on the parents. What may be the reason? The reason is only that, okay, after the completion of the school, they get one or other kind of skill. Okay, so that they become ready to fly. Okay, that must be the case of our country. So, in order to the poverty education, for a developed country, in order to become a developed country, it is not that we have to take the responsibility that is on our shoulder to feed the poor. No, we have to empower the poor. Okay, we have to empower the children. Okay, by providing skilled education. So here it is. That is the important characteristics of the developed country: technology innovations, intensified competitions in the world market, and the other is the democratic term. So according to that, we have to develop our skilled education. And the other is of the challenges created by the new demands for the more adaptable and the multi-skilled creative level. So according to that, we have to change our education system. Now, strengthen the cooperation between the education authorities, employment organization is very necessary. Now, here on bar graph, you can see, okay, which shows that the India, the skill education, that is it is the vocational education index, okay, in which India is having only 0.5% of skill education is provided. But in US, it is of near about more than 50%. But in Germany, it is more than 70%. And in South Korea, it is more than 90%. So in order to become a developed country, we must have to change this vocational index in the other way. That is, our country must have to provide the skilled education up to 90% above. Now, here the next comes, okay, the how the India become a developed country. Here the high per capita income, okay, for that we must have to, the production must be increased. In order to increase the production, okay, we need the skilled people. Now, while being a country of 1.4 billion people, we not be able to give employment to all skilled people here. So here comes one more area for us is that export the skilled labor. Now our people are skilled, okay, in some or other, then obvious there will be a world market for the Indian skill, like that of which we cherished in the software area, that is of software engineering, the computer, that is. So the other is of security will be guaranteed in such country, and low employment rate will be there, obvious, because all are skilled, and mastering science and technology, and the level of export in higher import, and the human in development index and the industrialization will be cherished. So, okay, if we cherished in all these, okay, we can become a developed country. And the other is of globalization. Now, it is the globalized time, so we cannot run away from it. Okay, we must make the education appropriate for the globalization. So, that is here the specialized labor markets must be there, higher levels of skills must be there, and diversified and the vocational education must be there. So that is the main. Okay, and as compared to the general education, vocational education and training has close and more direct link with the economic and the professional development. And then the NEP. Here comes, after a long time, here comes the NEP. So it may be a game changer for the India if it is implemented in the proper spirit and efforts. So it is a reimagining vocational education. In NEP, that only telling, okay, we must have to provide skill education, vocational education right from the middle school, secondary and higher secondary. Okay, the children will get proper this vocational education. Okay, so that, okay, here moreover, they will get a skill, and moreover, okay, they will have a dignity of labor, now which is very less in our country now. And other is of collaboration with the industry. Okay, that is, industry must be part of this vocational education. So here the conclusion. So that vocational education and training all is the matter. Okay, mantra to become a developed country. Education must be developed and oriented. Just teaching literature and theories won't do any better. And the other is vocational education to be provided schools, so that when the child come out of the school as a youth, he or she must not be in the school without any this vision or the future into. And the other is of he or she must have the two options: one to climb the ladder of education, okay, in order to provide the research and development. Other is to take a job of his own interest. So that is about the vocational education. And obvious, if we concentrate on it, easily we can get into a developed country. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Sunita Ma, for giving me this opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much, Manoj Pillai, sir. Before I start with other participants, I eagerly request everyone to kindly be with the time constraint, because with the time is very limited. Kindly please try to present your presentation within 5 minutes. Next, I would like to call Francis Vedya, ma'am. Francis Vedya, ma'am. Francis, ma'am. Okay, I think ma'am is not here. Dr. Meghna Basu, ma'am.
Yes, thank you.
Ma'am, as you have 3 presentations, so I have been splitted your presentation. I'll be not conducting all at the same time. Okay, ma'am. So first, I request you to go with the Shweta ma'am and Takreem ma'am.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Allow us a minute. We'll just screen share. Please allow us a minute. Takreem, are we ready to screen share?
Yeah, 10 to 12 minutes. Take
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. We are ready to start.
Yeah.
Ma'am, please, due to time constraint, we request you to.
Sir,
Sure, ma'am. Sure.
No, it is not possible within 5 minutes to give it to them. 15 minutes, not anything.
Thank you. Yes, Takreem, we can start.
All right. A very good afternoon to everyone. My name is Takreem Malik. I'm a student from the Department of Psychology, RDNSH National College and SWA Science College. I'm here to present a paper along with my professors on the topic Effects of Internalized Homophobia and PTSD Symptoms on the Mental Health of the LGBTQ+ community. Now, homosexuality and queer identities may be accepted more in Indian youths than ever before, but within the boundaries of family, home, and school, acceptance of their sexuality and freedom to openly express their gender choices still remain a constant struggle for the LGBT. Now, recent developments in the laws concerning the LGBTQ+ in India have received tremendous global attention, and with increasing emphasis on bringing about a social change, the LGBTQ+ community continues to face discrimination that is rooted in century-old morals, religious, and social beliefs. One such manifestation of this is seen in the form of internalized homophobia. Now, it is a form of self-directed negative self-perception that is commonly linked to vulnerability to long-lasting impacts of trauma. And therefore, in this research, we have examined the relationships that exist between internalized homophobia, PTSD symptoms, outness behaviors, life satisfaction, and general adjustment of LGBTQ individuals in a series of 3 consecutive studies. An in-depth assessment of the literature highlights Mayer's minority stress model, which suggests that sexual minorities face unique and hostile stressors, for example, homophobic victimization, which is related to their identity and consequently have negative effects on mental health. Now, studies have also linked internalized homophobia to PTSD symptom severity, with experiential avoidance as a significant moderator. We have emotional processing theory, which also suggests that both self-beliefs before, during, and after a traumatic event, for example, coming out, which we all know is very traumatic for many, are significant such that individuals with highly negative self-beliefs, in this case, internalized homophobia, and positive self-beliefs are more vulnerable to PTSD symptoms. However, research on LGBTQ+ in India is an extremely limited domain. Thus, effects of internalized homophobia, which is known to begin early in adolescence, is an area that is widely unexplored in the Indian context. Thus, in this study, we have attempted to fill the existing void in literature on LGBTQ in India, and we propose implications with specific aims to promote an early intervention model with school and adolescence population at its focal point.
Thank you, Takreem. So to propose our objectives for today's study, we have proposed that internalized homophobia and post-traumatic stress disorder symptoms, PTSD, will negatively predict outness. The second objective was internalized homophobia and PTSD intrusions will negatively predict life satisfaction and general adjustments in life. So our sample was 200 sample ranging from the age of 18 to 25. We have taken the inclusion criteria of including gay, lesbians, bisexuals and pansexual individuals. Our sampling method used was convenient sampling, and the sample set used by us was kept constant throughout the study. Now we have used 3 different scales: internalized homophobia, outness inventory, and PTSD symptom questionnaires, a satisfaction questionnaire. All these questionnaires were used across the sample of 200 people that we have interviewed. Next.
So now we come to the results of the study. It was found that both internalized homophobia as well as PTSD symptoms were found to be significant negative predictors of outness behavior. Internalized homophobia and PTSD symptoms were found to be significant negative predictors of life satisfaction and general adjustment as well. So that means that, the more people experience such, experiences of both internalized homophobia as well as PTSD symptoms, the lesser they were likely to come out, the lesser they were likely to have general adjustment, and the lesser they were likely to be satisfied with their lives. Internalized homophobia was also found to mediate the effects of PTSD symptoms on both life satisfaction as well as general adjustment. As we can see in all of the studies, both of the predictors were significant enough to, tell us that there were a lot of significance that they have in one, predicting lower life satisfaction, lower general adjustment, as well as this, sort of making it difficult for people from the LGBTQ community to come out and actually experience their identity as a whole and express their identities as a whole. Now, what was interesting was that internalized homophobia actually increased the effects of PTSD symptoms on both life satisfaction as well as general adjustment. Now, previous research has shown us that when people experience, especially bisexuals, when they had anti-bisexual experiences early in life, it was associated with greater internalized heterosexism, which in turn was, sort of predicted their, vulnerability towards both verbal as well as sexual coercion. This also helps us understand the findings of this study, where early experiences of not being able to express your true identity limits your capacity of establishing your identity and then, in turn, living your truth. Now, in study 2, people who face more experiences of homophobia and PTSD-like symptoms would be, it was found that they were less satisfied and they had poorer adjustment as well. These findings are also consistent with the research that, when they were done on gay male sexual assault survivors, where internalized homophobia predicted post-traumatic symptoms as well as depression severity. So this means that PTSD symptoms would affect both their ability to come out as well as their, them using more negative coping mechanisms. Now, the implications of the study is that, first of all, the entire LGBTQ community is underrepresented in the area of research, especially in India. Secondly, these experiences set in quite early in adolescence, and when they are coupled with negative social experiences, either directly or indirectly, while we learn the heteronormative way to live life, it discourages people to come out. It discourages people to, stand up for themselves, and thus, sort of lets them, sort of be more affected by bullying, both verbal as well as physical, and sometimes even cyberbullying. So, and these instances also go underreported in schools because of ignorance and denial, or even trivializing of homophobic bullying, where, society as a whole condones it rather than condemns it. Now, the proposal of the authors is that there could be a modification of school curriculum to be more inclusive, where we can make the, adolescents who might be questioning or who might be from the community to sort of, understand and belong in the community as well as with other students, don't feel ashamed about their identity. And also this can help us undo severe damage before the effects translate into long-term or long-lasting consequences. Teachers should also be empowered in order to sort of have a flexible outlook towards both sexuality and gender identity. And this would subsequently decrease the rates of victimization as well as bullying to people belonging to the LGBTQ community, and hence, sort of have long-term mental health, a good adjustment as well as satisfaction with life. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Dr. Sridevi ma'am is there?
We cannot hear you, ma'am.
Hello.
Hello, madam.
Hello.
Hello.
Are you?
Myself, I'm Sridevi, madam.
Yeah. Please
Okay,
start
madam. I will present my this one, madam.
Start your.
That madam screen is not going, madam.
Hello.
Madam.
Please start.
Share, share. Madam. Good afternoon to everybody. It is a great privilege and prestige to present my paper regarding Sir Mokshagundam Vishweshwaraya. I'm from Karnataka, and on behalf of him, even today, Government of India is celebrating the Engineers Day. So today, I want to present my paper. Sir Mokshagundam Vishweshwaraya, he was one of the outstanding personality, and he was, being an art student, he came to Pune and he studied his engineering in Pune College, and he was finished. His parents were from, they are from Andhra, but they were migrated to Karnataka in a small village, Muddenahalli in Kolar district, and he studied his education, and he was from his childhood, he was very intelligent. He was with he came from poor family, and his parents were Venkata Lakshmamma and Srinivasa Shastri, belonging to Brahmin family, Brahmin caste. But he was, from his childhood, he faced lot of difficulties, and he came from lot of hurdles in his childhood. He used to go for tuitions to tell small children who are from the rich family, and he used to read in the street lights, and he was finished his BA degree in Bangalore Central College. Still, he was urged to learn some science techniques, and he went to, with the request of Sheshadri, with the help of Sheshadri Ayar, who was the one of the famous Diwan of Bangalore, and he was studied his engineering in Pune in 1881, and from there onwards his career started in the 1883 after finishing LCE in engineering in Bombay University, and he was he done lot of achievements as a engineer. He was first, he turned his attention towards the Khadakwasla of Pune district. There was a severe water scarcity, and he was built reservoirs, and he was solved the problem very uniquely. So he got appreciated by the English government because it was in Madras, this one Bombay presidency, and later he was also turned his attention towards the Sukkur. Sukkur, it was nearby Sindh River, and there was also, he was solved the water problem, which was muddy water, and later on he was retired from the service from the Maharashtra government as an engineer, and he done lot of services in many parts of the country. That is in Hyderabad, Nizam of Hyderabad, he was honored in, and he was also keen interested about the brilliancy of this fellow, and he was solved the Musi River problem in Hyderabad, and he was also requested by the Mysore government, and the Diwan words, he was went to Mysore, and he served as a Diwan for 6 years, 1912 to 1918, and he was constructed great KRS in Mysore, and he was taken lakhs together land under irrigation, and he was also introduced block system for not to hold more water, and he was also introduced for reservoirs automatic gates, and later on he was also as a Diwan, he was introduced, he was started. Mysore University was also started. Mysore Bank, now it was merged in SBI. And he was also started Kannada Sahitya Parishad. So he was dynamic and multi-dynamic, and he wrote many books called Rapid Economic Development in India and Reconstruction of India. And he was also wrote Industrialization. He was very much keen, given importance to industrialization. In our country, there was agriculture, it was a great livelihood of our people, but he wanted in agriculture also lot of scientific as well as technical views to improve our agriculture. That is, for example, a lot of problems we are facing, that is for heavy rainfall or for natural calamities and soil erosion, these are. So he was given more importance to public as well as private sectors, and he introduced many factories at Bhadravati iron and steel factory, as well as Mysore soap factory, as well as oil factory, sandal oil factory, paper factory, all this. With his all services, he was also given more importance to the merit basis appointments. But many were not interested, because then during the time of his period, there was a backward class movement, it was going on. Still, he given more importance, because for the upliftment of our country, he given more importance to the this one, merit. At the same time, he rendered great services. So from the side of British government, they were honored him as a sir, as well as Bharata Ratna by our Indian government when he was passed away. So even today, we are remembering this great fellow, because he was a man of, and he says that for the whole mankind, the two enemies will be there, that is laziness and foolishness. And this, he was a man till 101 year he survived, and he never taken on a stick also. He never depended on anybody. He was says that discipline is the right way. So in Karnataka, we used to call him as a man of discipline. Even today, we are remembering this great man for his great services, and he was in the minds of not only India, but abroad also, in Britain, Egypt. He rendered his great services. So he was a great person and a great unique with the unique concepts. So he was even today we are proud to say he was great Indian. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next participant, second, Dr. Meghna.
Yes, sure, ma'am. Sure, ma'am.
Thank you.
Samprikta, will you please present?
Yes, ma'am.
The impact performance appraisal, ma'am.
Yes, we can start. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. This is Rida Merchant from the Department of Psychology, RDNSS National College and SWA Science College. And along with my classmate and professors, I'm here to present my paper on effects of mother-daughter relationship on body satisfaction during COVID-19 pandemic. Now, it is no surprise that this pandemic has posed a big threat to humanity in multiple ways, and the effects of which will be continued to be studied. And due to the restrictions and lockdowns imposed to prevent the spread of the virus, individuals are forced to spend the majority of their time at home, either with family or alone. Now, to study its consequences, we explored how the mother-daughter dynamic has an effect on body satisfaction in young adult women. Past research suggests that the journey of young girls towards body positivity is largely supported by their mothers, and that mother-daughter interactions could potentially have a negative effect on the daughter's body dissatisfaction. Results also report that the type of attachment style shared between the mother and the daughter has an effect on the same. Thank you.
Yes, sorry. So looking at the methodology, the hypothesis that we propose is the mother-daughter relationship acts as a very significant predictor for the daughter's body satisfaction. So for this current study, we collected data from 162 participants age range between 18 and 25. The data was obtained with the help of using the following scales that are mentioned over there: the mother, adult, daughter scale, which is a 2002 significantly valid scale; body area satisfaction scale, a 2015 scale. Now the questionnaire was collected using the Google form collected online. The participants were informed that their details will be kept will remain confidential and will only be used for the research purpose. When we were collecting the data, we made sure that we're keeping the demographic details, including the age, gender, occupation, and their existing physical and physiological problems secret. We would not be discussing it besides just our discussion purpose, and the obtained data was analyzed using a linear regression with the help of the SPSS version 28.0. Thank you.
Yes, so once the obtained data was analyzed with the help of SPSS, we conducted a linear regression, and we saw that the R value that was the output generated was found to be 0.249, and which was greater than the significant or the critical value. The F value, which comes after an ANOVA analysis, also showed that there was a significant a difference or effect. So from this, since the data obtained was significant and in line to our expectations that we had, so we could suggest that mother-daughter relationship was a significant predictor when you talk about predicting the daughter's body satisfaction. So in this, we can say, as Rida had covered the past researches, that the way a young girl feels about young girls feel about their body is greatly influenced by the relationship or the attachment style that they share with their mother. We saw that in McBride's research. Also, the security of the attachment style, the different types of attachment style that the daughters share with their mother, will also have an impact, or would predict that how likely a daughter is to be very satisfied or dissatisfied with the body that she is in. And all of this would reflect on their general adjustment as well. So the more deviated or the more distorted their sense of their body is, the more distressed they will be about that. The more comfortable or more coherent and unified their sense of body is, lesser distress will be experienced by the daughters. So this okay, so the findings of this research can be used in daily life as well as has practical implications. For starters, once we understand the importance that mothers' relationship with their daughters have on the daughters' body satisfaction, we can first start with incorporating interventions which are specific and which focus on the relationship that mothers and the daughters share. In therapy, providing emotional support, providing customized intervention techniques to help young adolescent and young adult daughters to adjust better to this problem. Increasing parenting awareness, that what kind of a parenting strategy you should use for parents or new parents that would influence the attachment style that they share with their children, would also help. Overall awareness program can be incorporated in curriculums in schools, where young girls and students can be educated about their own body and how they can feel in control of their body.
Thank you so much. After the implications as discussed by Samrikta ma'am, the shortcomings and flaws of the study were analyzed. The first limitation that was observed was that the sample size that was recruited for the study was very small, since the inclusion criteria consisted of only cis women and because convenient sampling was used. In addition to that, the data was analyzed only on basis of the adult daughter's perception and not the other way around as well. Also, the living conditions of the participants and the cultural background that they belong to were overlooked. Lastly, any prevailing medical conditions affecting physical health of the participants were not controlled. For any further researches, we suggest that recruiting a larger sample size, including a wider age range that is not only restricted to cis women, should be recruited. Lastly, in conclusion, it was found that due to the huge impact of the COVID-19 pandemic, many mother-daughter relationships have proven to be a precursor to the body dissatisfaction among young adult women. It was also found that daughters are more likely to build body satisfaction when they believe that they can share their thoughts, feelings, and opinions with their mothers freely. They should have mutual dependence in emotional and practical ways within their relationship, which includes them seeking their mother's help or advice and feeling free to do so. For the daughters to build more body satisfaction, they should defer to their mothers regardless of their own age, out of respect for their mother's wisdom, and also out of respect for her higher status in the family's hierarchy. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Mr. Mohammed Osama.
Hello.
Good afternoon, sir.
Ma'am, I'm audible?
Yeah. Yes, sir.
1 second, ma'am. Just a bit. I'm trying to connect. Ma'am, my presentation is you can see my presentation?
Yeah, yes, sir.
Okay, ma'am.
Yes, sir.
1 second. Well, good afternoon, everyone. Today, as we know that we are here for an international conference, and I would like to thank the organizers for giving me this opportunity to be a part of your conference. And the topic that I today wish to speak on is about teaching and innovative approaches that are being used during Corona pandemic. So I have tried to include collect all those resources that can be used and that were used during the pandemic and post-pandemic. They are also useful. So to begin with these topics, I would like to talk about IT infrastructure being used, online resources, and about collaborative and user-generated content, and what are the problems that were associated with online education that we all have faced during this pandemic known as Corona. So, as you know, that what we have seen during Corona pandemic was that university and colleges, which were a buzzing cultural hubs, a seat of learning, and students come up, they were studying in close proximity, and this very distinct ecosystem was severely impacted because of the Corona pandemic. And we were seeing through our eyes the repercussions that it was having on our higher education. And what seemed very a distant thing, we were hearing about online education, blended learning, but somehow teachers and professors were trying coming up immediately. But as it is, or making adjustments. So the corona pandemic changed entirely the higher education. Overnight, we were faced to adopt online mode of teaching. We were using Google's Meet, Zoom, and this just make us feel that the students were forced to adapt, and the teachers did rapid transformation, and we came across a number of tools that were useful. Online classes were taken. We get information about MOOCs, SWAM platform. We were hearing about this, but suddenly life changed. Now we were using them. We were using virtual labs and learning management system. Even I'm talking from Integral University, and we were using learning management system known as integrated learning management system. And believe me, when we were using, we were having our troubles, and then things improve. Phones, mobile phones, tablets, laptop, everywhere. The students were using, the teachers were using, and the higher education was entirely just changed. What looked a distant reality has now transformed. Higher education and online education has now become a major system of education which every teacher and every student must acclimatize for getting higher education. And even after the corona pandemic, we are seeing during this scenario, and I believe that after the corona pandemic, the situation will not change. Online education will be the major education system. The chalk and blackboard teaching was changed little bit. We have to, we were not able to do, so we have to change. So the blended learning gained more momentum. And one of the data that I would like to quote about UNESCO, nearly in 165 countries, to 20 million tertiary level students were affected because of the corona pandemic. And this thing was all over the world. Everywhere the education was being affected. So the IT infrastructure that can be used from personal devices in form of laptops, mobile phones, to lab devices that can be in forms of laboratory desktops, virtual labs, audio visual devices that can be projector, smartphone. Yes, ma'am, I'm not able to hear. Anything you want to say, ma'am? So I'm continuing with the audio visual devices to graphic board, tablets, remote learning to remote examination. We were seeing mass learning, low cost IoT devices being used, and even the faculty and students were getting remote access where they were using the computer that were in the universities. So the learning management system, as I already talked about, things started changing and very rapidly. Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, little, can I continue?
Yeah.
Okay, so even it was being talked about setting up lecture recording centers in universities, and there were rapid changes. We were using a lot of software. So this was some change about IT infrastructure. Coming to online study material resources, this information was being shared about SWAM, MOOCs, NPTEL, but it became more relevant. Even the teaching resources, open access books, EPG Pathshala, e-content courses, research resources, that was also the need. How the research will be carried out. So in form of various such resources, I have tried to recollect them, which we have seen that such resources information in briefly through WhatsApp messages, but I have collected them with their websites. So individual can use them from SWAM platform, National Digital Library, EPG Pathshala, e-content courses in UG subjects, NPTEL, Shodhganda as a reservoir of thesis to science, direct open access, free journals, open access journals, EPG Pathshala, open access thesis and dissertation, free open access books, Springer open journals, Taylor Francis. So let's move forward. So the MOOCs was being used. It was asked to be used for students. SWAM was being used, and open educational resources like NPTEL and NMEICT, other resources, learning management system, virtual labs. Even there were facilities for robotics, free open source software in the form of FOSSE. So these all were being promoted, and some ICT tools were also being known about collaboration and user-generated concept. We can use concept mapping, blogging can be used, and it was used effectively for education. Sticky notes and documents were also shared through online mode of education. Coming to you have time limits, and I respect your time limit. So there are problems associated with online education that we all have faced as teachers. Now, the students have their problem. Students have their problem in the form of after completing their courses where they need to study, where they need to take admissions. And Corona pandemic, how the classes will go offline, online, these were the problems. Even the research conducted by Cambridge International Annual Destination Survey, what they reported that 84% of schools surveyed, the students are facing the problem of financial hardships. Corona pandemic has also affected their lives, their families, their earnings. The students are facing financial hardship, and the education institution were facing the problems of admissions. So there was a lot of uncertainty that is continuing even today. So the other problems is that the online mode of education, we were trying to adopt that, but we also face that the weaknesses that we have regarding adoption of online mode of education. There's no doubt that online mode of education is good, but what amount we need to adopt and what are our weaknesses in adoption of this mode of education. Other than that, internet connectivity was a big issue. The affordability, how can a family of having 3-4 childs, 2 child, everyone will be given separate laptop, mobile? Affordability was an issue. And even the gadgets were at that time, we were finding it difficult to get phones, laptops. There was huge demand, and the demand is continuing. And the urban area, the problem was much bigger. The rural areas, the problem was much bigger. Urban areas, we manage it somehow. But the rural area, the education was affected severely. There the online education did not reach to that level where we have imagined, and sitting in a city, we even cannot imagine. So of the other problems was that we were, as a teacher, we're finding that the attentiveness that we see during a face-to-face class, that was somehow not in these online classes. Their mics, sometimes they were covering their photographs, and videos was not there, and the attentiveness was somehow lacking. That was the problem. Coming to the conclusion part, realizing the time limit, if we want to develop a robust online education system, especially in India, we need to adapt and use NPTEL, MOOC, and other learning management system, and also look out that how we can improve our bandwidth. We could provide accessibility of internet to every citizen of India. It's not about only the urban area. It is about rural area. It is about every citizen of India, and making education, online education, cost effective for every family, even a family which runs decently, providing laptops and mobile phones to everyone, smart mobile phones to everyone, it is a big challenge for family. So I hope that higher education system, which has faced problem previously too, it has come out as a winner and it will successfully come out as a true winner in this digital age. University and colleges will certainly come up with more good options, affordable access, and the study in higher education will gain momentum in the times to come. Thank you. These are references being used.
Thank you very much, sir. Over to Dr. Meghna ma'am. Ready?
Ma'am, you're not audible at all.
Hello, Meghna ma'am.
Yeah. Yes, ma'am, we are ready, ma'am.
This is your third presentation. I'm Meghna ma'am and Shweta Mishra ma'am and Regina Baras ma'am.
Yes.
Okay, ma'am.
Thank you.
Can we stop the presentation, please?
Please, Mohammed Usman sir.
Yes.
Yeah, stop.
Regina, we are ready to begin. Regina, please begin.
Good afternoon, everyone. This is Regina Vaz from Department of Psychology, RD and SH National College. I am here to present my paper on the impact of performance appraisal in male and female on organizational commitment during COVID-19. A performance appraisal is a continuous and systematic evaluation of employees' performance that gives the organization a chance to identify their abilities and efficiencies for development. Globally, the industry setup is changing due to the epidemic of COVID-19. COVID-19 has caused a worldwide change with far-reaching implications. To adapt to the new normal, organizations must understand compliance, adjust expectations, and renew their focus. Involvement with the organization influences employment commitment to their organization. When companies calculate employees' compensation, they compare employee pay with the target compensation. Objectives of the performance appraisal include maintaining adequate records and using them to determine salary packages, wages, structures, and salary increase. By identifying an employee's strengths and weaknesses, we can identify the perfect job for them. Training requirements is the purpose of this assessment. There has been an increased focus on the effect of performance appraisal on users in recent years, arguing that both the appraisal process and the user's reaction significantly influences overall effectiveness, which was proposed by Levy and Williams in the year 2017. According to Kuvas in the year 2017, employee performance appraisal, reaction, and organizational commitment are positively correlated with intrinsic motivation as a moderator. Only employees with a high level of intrinsic motivation showed a positive relation between performance appraisal reaction and work performance. The majority of the research on performance appraisal reaction measured some form of satisfaction or acceptance of the appraisal process. Performance appraisal systems are effective in motivating and committing employees, according to Anand et al. In the year 2020. According to the study, performance appraisal systems that do not link employees' performance to the organizational goals are less effective.
Thank you. Thank you, Regina. Next. So for this study, the method that we used, we looked at our aim to analyze how performance appraisal tactics have helped employees improve and maintain their commitment, organization commitment, through the times of this pandemic. And we also wanted to look at how similar tactics could be used to maintain the same. So for this, we have used an assessment tool which was used by Takada and Moriarty in 2005. Response to each of these items was scored on a 7-point scale, and it started off with the labels being strongly disagree to strongly agree. The participants were asked to complete the survey using an online Google form. We have done this research on a sample size of 84 employees, out of which 42 employees were females and 42 employees were male, and they all belong to the area of Mumbai region from the business service sector. The data that was provided by the participants were assured that it is only going to be used for research purpose, and through these forms, like earlier, we have picked up certain demographic information like age, gender, etc., which is a part of the Google form. Next.
The results of the study were then compared. So when employees were matched on their performance appraisal in terms of salary packages, salary increases, increments, etc., it was their organizational commitment was then compared between men and women. So it was found out that there was a significant difference in organizational commitment between men and women, where men sort of had more commitment on the basis of just performance appraisal, whereas for women, organizational commitment did increase as performance appraisal increased, but it was not as much as men. So this means that performance appraisal definitely affects organizational commitment during the COVID-19 pandemic as well, because the study was conducted then. However, for women, maybe organizational commitment was lesser than men in this case, because for women, due to the onset of the pandemic, there were more responsibilities managing work as well as home, and hence performance appraisal was not the only criteria for them when it comes to committing to the organization. So the study indicates that men will be more willing to be with the firm's goals as well as values, since they believe that organization may have some personal relevance and special meaning to them, and they have to sort of reciprocate the performance appraisal that they are receiving from the organization's end, and hence sort of comply to committing to the organization for long term. Another reason could be the perceived competence, where men who perceive themselves as being highly competent would be more likely to be committed to the organization. Now, the implications of the study, tells us that performance appraisal does a good job at increasing organizational commitment for men. For women, we need to study more factors that could be moderating the effect between performance appraisal and organizational factor. Now, since the study was conducted online, we might have found some participants who may have not filled out the form in, as honestly as possible. Secondly, the data was only collected from 82 people, and hence we cannot generalize these findings for the entire general population. So we would want to replicate the study using a larger participant in the future. However, this does show us some differences between men and women when it comes to organizational factors like organizational commitment and how performance appraisal tends to manage both. So that is our study. Thank you so much for listening to our presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, ma'am. All three presentations are very nice, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Now I would like to request the Dr. Nidhi Sharma, ma'am, for the presentation. Nidhi Sharma, ma'am?
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, am I audible?
Yes, yes.
Thank you. I'll just share. Good afternoon, ma'am. I'll just share my screen.
Yeah.
Ma'am, is the presentation visible?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you so much. A very good afternoon to all. I'm Dr. Nidhi Sharma, and today I'll be presenting on innovative best practices in second language classroom. In the present times of globalization, technology has made learning a border-free scenario. We witness the technology as a new norm in the education sector, which results in educational revolution. There is a significant increase in the use of digital resources in humanities. Let us first talk about the inquiry-based learning, where students are encouraged to construct their own meaning, leading them to create their own learning. Students are motivated to construct the questions they are eager to answer. They themselves research the topic and present what they have found. Not only this, they are encouraged to find out what worked and what did not. This new innovative practice encourages students to ask more questions, which was not much done in the traditional teaching. Quick response. The QR codes, which are not much difficult to create, can lead the learners to access information just by scanning the code. This can facilitate checking of the answers, extend the information given in the textbook, access video tutorials. Wisely managed classroom technology leads to enhanced learners' language learning level as well as the level of learners' engagement with the subject. Many innovative apps as well as websites like YouTube videos, Google Docs can help the teachers engage their students and provide visual learning. Online quizzes are a good way of engaging the students and taking them towards brainstorming. To bring the classroom to life, smart board teaching is one of the best practices which offer a great experience to students as far as the level of engagement and understanding is concerned. The course content is made interactive and visual. This technique helps the teacher to explain the topic in a more innovative way by making it visual and an engaging experience. Teaching through virtual reality can definitely be counted as one of the best innovative practices. Instead of taking students to listen to a heavy lecture on the civilization of the country of which they are learning a language, the teacher can use a 3D technology to make them explore the same. This technique will not only make learning fun, but they will also be able to retain what they have learned in a better way and for a much longer period of time. So we also conducted a survey and passed a questionnaire to students who were learning a foreign language, in particular French, and it was found that there is a liking towards the new innovative ways amongst them. But yes, at the same time, they expressed their wish to have a teacher as well, as the human touch in education cannot be ignored. All in all, we wish to say that technology and the innovative best practices in teaching, not only in the second language classroom, but any subject or discipline, can serve as a sure short way to make learning not only more convenient and effective, but it will also offer a vast number of updated solutions. Educational institutions are now evolving as learning organizations where fruitful learning is the primary principle. Higher education is now more open to these innovative practices. These innovative practices can tackle the high failure rates and can result in the fulfillment of the knowledge society. These practices can surely pave the way for the previous ones and lead to the new teaching learning practices. Technology comes with endless sets of resources that the teachers can use according to the need of their students. And with this, the entire teaching learning process can witness a revolutionary change in education. Thank you so much.
Good afternoon, ma'am. Is it audible, ma'am?
Yes.
I'm Shanti, ma'am. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Shanti, Assistant Professor of History in Providence College, Kunnur. My topic is winning of Dr. Muthulakshmi Reddy. Dr. Muthulakshmi Reddy was born on 30th July 1886 and died on 22nd July 1968. She was an eminent medical practitioner, social reformer, Padma Bhushan awardee in India. She was the first women legislator in India. She is one of the eminent personalities of India, born in a middle-class family in Tamil Nadu during 1886. She rose to become the founder of one of the prestigious medical institutions in India, a great legislator and a social reformer. She fought against all odds throughout her life, starting from her entry into a men's college and to becoming the first and only female medical candidate in 1907. She has also become the first woman house surgeon at the government maternity hospital and later became a great practitioner of medicine. She was greatly influenced by the principles of Mahatma Gandhi, Sarojini Naidu, and Annie Besant, and decided to serve women and children, especially for their education. She has received many honors and awards, including the Padma Bhushan from the Indian government, and her relentless service to mankind and her extensional service uh, in the field of medicine. So, what I want to my conclusion is, likewise, today's children are motivated by teachers by these success stories. So, any stories can develop children. It can be motivation for small children. So, like this, through her hardship of in 1886 itself, she struggled a lot. So, why can't today's children? Why can't they do this wonderful success like her? Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. I would like to request Mr. Manoj Kumar and Professor S.P. Mishra, sir. Manoj Kumar, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
Please start your presentation.
Yes. Good afternoon to all. My topic is self study of self-regulated learning strategy of mathematics among higher secondary level students. I am Manoj Kumar, Research Scholar, Regional Institute of Education, Bhubaneswar. As we know that mathematics is one of the most important subjects in India. Textbook containing excessive mathematical syllabi due to overloaded program in the school curriculum, which is not appropriate learners' level of attainment. So mathematics cannot be taught effectively and meaningfully without suitable approach of learning. So self-regulated learning has emerged in powerful learning theory in 1980s on the basis of social learning theory of Albert Bandura. So after that, Zimmerman 1989 found that the relationship between self-regulated learning and academic achievement was based under the social cognitive views of three important characteristics. First one is self-observation, seen as the most important of the process. Second one is self-judgment. And third one is self-reaction. So that next is need of the study. As we know that according to MCF 2005, learners are the creator of knowledge. Self-regulated learning strategy are research-based instructional techniques to develop learners, monitor and manage their own learning skills. So that in this way, study is needed. Next one is objective of the studies. To find out self-regulated learning skill among students at the higher secondary level in the domain task analysis, self-motivational belief, self-control, self-observation, self-judgment, self-reactions. Then hypothesis is created. There is no significant difference in the self-regulated learning skill of the student at higher secondary level in relation to uh, sex in the following domain: task analysis, self-motivational belief, self-control, self-observation, self-judgment, self-reaction. The methodology survey method was used to assess self-regulated learning of the secondary school students. The sample consists of 11th class students having 120 boys and 80 girls purposefully selected from Ranchi district of Jharkhand. Developed self-regulation scale consisting 60 items with 5-point scale having 6 aspects such as task analysis, self-motivation, belief, self-control, self-observation, self-judgment, self-reaction was used so that the investigator established the reliability of the tool by the retest method, which was found 0.81 content validity by ensured by taking expert comment during the tool development. The questionnaire contains 6 self-regulated learning aspects as task analysis, self-motivation and belief, self-control, self-observation, self-judgment, and self-reaction. The data were analyzed by taking tool score as well as score in component using t-test and accordingly interpreted are made. So data analysis was found. Major finding was there is no significant difference between the boys and girls in self-regulated learning skill in the domain task analysis is accepted at 0.5 level. It concludes that boys and girls have similar self-regulated learning skill in the domain task analysis at higher secondary level. There is also no significant difference between the boys and girls in the domain self-motivation beliefs is accepted at 0.5 level. It also concludes that we concluded that boys and girls have similar self-regulated learning skill at self-motivational beliefs at higher secondary level. There is also significant difference between boys and girls self-regulated learning skill in domain self-control. It concludes that boys and girls have similar self-regulated learning self-control. There is also no significant difference between in the domain self-observation, so that it is also similar self-regulated learning skill in this domain. So that there is also no significant difference between in the self-regulated learning skill in the domain self-reaction at 0.5 level. So it also concludes that there is a similar self-regulated learning skill in the self-regulated learning skill. So we here we can see that in every aspect, boys and girls have having similar self-regulated learning skills. So there is some educational implication. For the purpose, teachers should be provided with professional development program about creating self-regulated learning environment. Every school should regularly organize training program for a student by inviting learning expert as well as counselor. Similarly, educational administrator should organize in service program for teachers and headmasters on self-regulated learning skill among students, especially integrating principles of self-regulated learning in the classroom teaching. In addition, it may be useful for researchers to conduct a study about self-reported learning to investigate the effect of self-reported learning on dependent variables such as attitude towards course retention, self-efficacy, and high-level thinking skills. Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much, Manu sir, for your presentation. Any participants who is left to present the paper? Is any participant left to present the paper?
Yeah. Hello.
Yeah, ma'am.
Am I audible?
Yeah, ma'am.
Myself, Sri Ranjini. Can I present my paper?
Yeah, ma'am.
Hello.
Yeah, ma'am.
Okay. So, good afternoon to one and all present here. I would like to thank the faculties and the organizers of this conference for giving me this opportunity to present my paper in this international conference. Let me start the presentation. The topic of our research paper is Prominence of Skill Training Workshops and Occasional Education in Art Stream. We'll be seeing the abstract introduction, lack of knowledge about art stream occasional courses, need of occasional education, need of skill training in art stream, conclusion. Abstract. Socially, the art stream is regarded as the most undervalued and underappreciated stream in India. When it comes to the arts courses for higher education, there is no awareness or sufficient direction in selecting arts degrees. Conventional book education has caused significant low results and no scope for many professions in the field of arts. The only profession that is most popular when it comes to arts is teaching profession. However, there should be more emphasis on other occupational fields such as social work, visual arts, archaeology, travel and tourism, performing arts, journalism, and many others. Skill training, workshops, and occasional education might be important instruments to incorporate in the stream in order to raise the academic level. This paper aids in comprehending the difficulties that many students and instructors have in the art stream, as well as how these tools may be beneficial in solving these issues. Introduction. Many students are eager to begin college after completing their higher education, but they are equally perplexed when it comes to choosing their majors, which will serve as the basis for their future job. Their educational choices are primarily influenced by the society's popularity. Parents want their children to pursue careers in disciplines that are apparent and well recognized in society. Despite the fact that there are many different courses in multiple fields, art stream is usually the last choice, and there are only a few art stream courses that develop popularity and draw the attention every time among the newcomers. Choosing new courses and disciplines in art streams is still a misconception among students and parents who believe it has no future worth. This demands a change. Occasional pattern of education, skill-based training courses are some of the teaching techniques needed to be implemented into the art streams to entice students and alter the perception of art stream disciplines. The purpose of this research paper was to examine the many issues that students and professionals have faced in art streams. To do this, a research questionnaire was sent to current art stream students of various colleges in order to better understand the necessity for modifications. Lack of knowledge about art stream occasional courses. So this is one of the pie charts. We found it in the questionnaire. So when students were given the most fundamental inquiry, what is occasional courses? Many replied, I don't know. Many students are unaware of the occasional options available in many colleges. Occasional education is the occupation or job-based oriented courses that aid in seeking education or degree in a specialized subject. Many students still do not have a clear understanding of this word, occasional education. Students are not given sufficient advice or guidance in these areas. The data obtained from students clearly shows that they do not have much exposure to these occasional courses before joining college. However, after joining the main art stream courses in college, we often hear from students that they were unaware of these occasional courses and they would have enrolled as they are passionate about it. There are relatively few people who are actually interested in pursuing an arts degree in the art stream, but many are forced to do so due to lack of alternative options. Need for occasional education. These are some of the results. And the main aim of the occasional degree is to help the students in acquiring highly academic and skilled professions by providing them the knowledge, both theoretical and practical, about the subject in the specialized degree. It's also worth noting that occasional courses make it easier for students to obtain employment qualifications than those who complete a conventional course. In many parts of our nation, even in many institutions and colleges, the introduction of diverse occasional courses are still absent. Despite the fact that many colleges launch and establish various occasional courses in the art stream, they are not well received and do not fill seats. As a result, the occasional courses are gradually being phased out of the college. In the changing world, there are many emerging job opportunities for professional courses in the global market. Professionalism in the art sector in India has been severely eroded for many years. The need for professionalism is critical for our country's future development. As a result, adding occasional courses can have a significant impact on a student's educational and career development to create more professionals into the field. Need of skill training in art stream. Many colleges are utilizing a range of teaching strategies to make the material more engaging and exciting students in order to cope with these things. Study has recently gained hold in colleges, particularly in the art stream, is skill training programs. Skill training is the process of assisting a person in developing skills and gaining practical information that will assist the learner in becoming an expert in a certain profession. As students are advancing, it is essential to create change, especially in art stream, by introducing more skill training programs, hands-on experiences, and workshops. When arranged and conducted effectively, workshops may aid students enjoy their course of study by providing hands-on experience and practical understanding on the subject. Thus, offering a number of workshops can pave the path for greater education. Overall, the necessity for skill training and workshops are critical in today's world, and it must be included into the curriculum of art students. Conclusion. I would conclude by saying that there is always an urge or pressure from society on students who graduate from college to immediately seek employment, believing that this would lead to a brighter future. However, the core of their education is never put to use. Especially in the art stream, the degree is considered to be a basic criteria for getting employed. Though theoretical knowledge is highly important in the art stream, it has become quite monotonous among students due to the continuance of the same syllabus and curriculum over many years without much updates. In the realm of art subjects, there is an urgent need for change in the educational system. Introducing skill training programs can assist in the application of theoretical information in the field through practical training, allowing participants to acquire skills and earn experiences that is similar to the work they will be doing in the future. Another most significant aspect for our country's future is the creation of professions rather than job seekers. As a result, the necessity for occasional courses and skill training programs in the art streams is identified in this research article. This study is regarded as a preliminary investigation of the issue. However, in order to gain the whole phenomena of the problem as well as the solution, a detailed investigation is necessary. Thank you.
Thank you, Sri Ranjini Madam. Participants, after valedictory function, will be providing a link in the chat box. Kindly fill that link to avail your participation certificate. Now, I would
Presentations are over.
Yeah, ma'am. Yeah.
So I invite Dr. Sandhya Khedekar. Principal, Gokhale College of Education, Sangamner, and she is an international speaker also. She's a very renowned personality, dashing personality, and have a lot of experience of experiential field in the field of education. She presented lot of research paper in international, national, and state level also. She published various books, and her research is on the ICT based research, and which is very applicable in this pandemic situation. So I invite as a valedictory address by Dr. Sandhya Khedekar, and in this valedictory address, she is presenting her paper. So welcome, Dr. Sandhya Khedekar.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much. Honorable Dr. Sunita Magre, ma'am, who is my guru, my mentor, and my PhD guide, and the convener for today's conference. Then co-convener Dr. Jitendra Ahirkar, all the paper presenters, and my dear participants. I'm very happy to be here. And I must congratulate the organizers for having the wonderful theme here. I'm sharing my slides. I think my screen is visible to all of you.
Yes,
so, first of all, let me tell you, the theme itself says that innovative approaches is something that we have to think on it again and again. Because whenever there is innovation, whenever we think of new things, some creative things, innovative things, then only education grows. And the people, we are in higher education, we must think of new trends in education. Title of my paper is Innovative Approaches and Skill Training in Higher Education. The more focus is on Education 4.0 because in this international conference, the main theme of the conference is Innovative Approaches in Higher Education. And when I thought of innovative approaches in higher education, I always think of Education 4.0. Because this is the concept coming new in education from industry, like we did for ICT in education. Because I know when I was learning my Bachelor of Education course and Information Communication Technology course was there, and we were learning this, and it came from industry, corporate to education field. Similarly, Education 4.0 is also coming to this area of higher education. And our national policy of education itself says that there are 5 pillars, and one pillar is equity. That we have to give equal opportunity to all the participants in education field, all the stakeholders, all the students. And when we think of higher education, I always believe in this figure, you can see on the screen, that there are 3 pictures. First is of equality, second is of equity, and third is of liberation. You can see in the first picture that when we say of equality, we say that we should give equality, equal opportunity to all. But in the first picture, you can see the third child who is not able to see the playground. He wants to see the match on the playground, but he is not able. What does it mean? When we give equality, samanata, same this thing to all, there are different capabilities of children. There are different inner abilities of student. There are different kind of emotional, mental, economical, social barriers for every student in higher education. And when we give equality, there might be some students who will not get that much education what we want to give. So National Education Policy 220 has given us the one pillar is equity. Equity means give the equal opportunity. You can see in the second figure, the third child is given 2 tables, and he on the 2 tables, he can see the other side. He can see the playground. That means when we give equity, this is possible. But in the third picture, liberation, where total freedom is there, we have removed all the barriers, And all three children, though they are different economically, socially, mentally, physically, but still they are able to see the playground with the help of liberation. And my dear participant friends, this concept is coming up in higher education, that self-directed learning, which comes in education 4.0. And what is self-directed learning? Like in pandemic, from last 2 years, we all teachers and students in higher education, right from primary, why only higher education, all the education sector, we are facing the challenges of online teaching learning procedures. And when we are facing these challenges, all the teachers and professors in university all over the world, we have learned self-directed learning. Self-directed learning means there is a concept coming that we should homeschool students. There is no need of traditional methods. There is no need of traditional schools and colleges. So when this self-directed learning comes, there should be liberation. Liberation means it is a one step ahead than equality and equity, that every student should be at equal level and all the barriers in higher education should be removed. Because when we think of teacher's role and some innovations, so what is innovation now? What is creativity now? And what kind of can be the innovative approaches? There might be many. I heard few papers, they have done wonderful job. Many of the participants, they have done some researches and they have presented paper. And when we think of some innovation, every day, in every era, every academic year, our role is changing. In pandemic, we learned development of e-content, online teaching, technical training, online assessment, so many things. And again, we mess up with what to use, what exactly is our role. So here, understand student psychology from primary to higher education. That is the important aspect. And we have to be ready for new challenges, because younger generation is more smart. And when we think of innovation, I always think that what exactly it is, means I am using this thing and next day I come to know that this is old knowledge. The next day I again wake up and I think that this is old knowledge. And every day I have to learn, I have to relearn, I have to unlearn. Whatever I have learned, I have to again unlearn that and relearn the new things. And if new thing is coming, being a teacher educator, being a teacher, being a professor in the college, being a principal in the college, so whatever role I am playing, every day I have to update myself. And in higher education system, we are there to give a very, we can say, the bright future to all these students who are learning in higher education. So that this education 4.0 concept, I think we all are aware about this, that we are in 4th generation of education. We are in 4th era. We are in the 4th phase. In the first generation, that is 1.0, we were focusing on lecturing and memorizing. In the 2.0, it was internet-enabled learning. In 3.0, it was knowledge producing education. And in 4.0, it was innovative producing education. So theme for this conference, which says that innovative approaches in higher education is very, very suitable for this era of education. That is education 4.0. Because this era of education, wherever we are learning now, it says that it is innovative producing education. And when it is innovative producing education, Mumbai University Department of Education and Amlani College in collaboration organized this international conference on innovative approaches and in higher education. So I'm very happy for the theme, because this is a need of the hour. This is the current situation in education 4.0, that is innovative producing education. Because the 4th revolution is characterized by the fusion of technologies. Like you might be knowing, augmented reality is coming. We don't have to use chalkboards and blackboards and all that material. Teacher will just go in the classroom and teacher will have a virtual globe in hand, and teacher can show any country on the globe. So augmented reality is coming up. Virtual reality is coming up. We have Internet of Things. Every gadget is connected with the internet. With a smart watch, I don't have to use mobile. I can just click in the watch and I can call to my contact list. I can check the temperature. I can check what is oxygen level in my body on that smart watch. So if a small watch on my wrist, on my hand, can give me so many things while it is connected to internet, that means in 4 or 5 years, there will be a different scene, that we will be so much dependent on technology and internet, because IoT will be an integral part of higher education plus everybody's life. Because whenever we think of new innovation and new technology in higher education, for example, if I am in my car on the ground floor in the parking, and I stay on the 5th floor, and while parking my car, while coming from the lift, I can switch on the AC in my room. So it is possible with help of IoT, Internet of Things. IoT is giving so many new things. And when it comes to the higher education, it is always that we have to adapt new innovative things in education system. And my dear friends, artificial intelligence, you all know we have small Alexa devices in every home, and we just give instruction to Alexa and Alexa replies back to us. And we actually shift human language to machine language and machine language to human language, and artificial intelligence is working wonderfully. We have big data analytics, cloud computing, 3D printing, digital simulation, robotics coming up in education. And being stakeholder in higher education, we all have to adapt these new innovations in higher education, because that is need of today's education system. And there are so many tools. Means I was just wondering while looking at the tools available for teachers. Means we were having textbooks earlier. म्हणजे मला आठवतं की लहानपणी माझ्या सगळ्या टीचर्सकडे टेक्स्टबुक्स असायची हातामध्ये. Now we have different tools. We forgot about the textbooks. We forgot about the books in hand. We have so many gadgets, tools available, and nowadays we are teaching and learning online. And there are so many technology coming up, and I'm just wondering, oh my God, how the education is changing. I remember the days in my childhood when we were actually using the chalkboards, we were using the textbooks and the books where I was writing. And last 4 or 5 years, I don't remember I have written something in the book. I am just typing on laptops, I'm typing in the mobile, and I'm just using the MS Office, and I'm using different apps. And in last 2 years, so I have forgotten writing something on pages, because we are forgetting all those things. That means new things are coming up, new gadgets are coming up. There are thousands and thousands of tools coming up. Our assessment system is changing. We are using different kind of assessment tools in higher education. All the universities, they are taking online examinations. All the affiliated colleges to university, we are conducting different kind of examinations. And these different tools, actually, isn't it innovation? Isn't it new thing coming up in the higher education? Because when I think of last 2-3 years in education 4.0, we have shifted our view, we have shifted our learning style, we have shifted our approaches to learning, because our brain works on different processes. Whatever knowledge we are getting, it is multiplication of information and experience. And when we multiply our information and experience, we have to process on it, we have to reflect on it. And when we reflect on it, real innovation that gets place. So here I have mentioned few of the things. Means I am just recalling the things that whatever we are teaching nowadays, we are just thinking of different gadgets we are using. And these pictures you can see in this picture, this is just a mobile somebody is holding. These are pictures of some pandemic. I really wanted to share with you. This is a Indian jugaad. Somebody has kept the scale in between the book, and on that scale mobile is folded, and that mobile can record on the tabletop, and teachers are teaching with help of all these gadgets. So isn't it wonderful, giving a knowledge, giving we can say giving a different kind of learning experience to students. So these are innovative approaches what my teachers have used, what my professors have used. So we are using just simple gadgets in the home and we are teaching. So these are few of the pictures of pandemic. And I would like to tell you that we have created in this 2-3 years from 2019, when lockdown was there, and we have created different kinds of videos and applications we used. We never thought of that this kind of thing will be there in future. And without teaching in curriculum, means no teacher training college taught me how to teach online. But all the teachers all over the world, by the help of self-directed learning, they learned how to teach online. They learned all the technology. All the students, they learn themselves how to learn online. So when we are in higher education and we are going to implement National Education Policy 2020, and when we think of equity and liberation, we must think of what new innovation, what new innovative approaches I have to use in education system. Because higher education always demands new approaches towards education, new trends towards education, new creative ways of teaching and learning. So my dear friends, there are many presentation tools coming up. We have learned so many things. I don't want to go in technical things now. Just I am asking you one question. How many years do you plan to teach? Are you going to teach for next 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years? How many years you have? Just think on this. If you are planning, think of your retirement age and how many years you have. After retirement also you can teach. So if you are planning to teach for next 10 or 20 or 15 years, then what kind of innovative approaches I have to incorporate in my teaching learning? So that is my question to myself, that if I am planning to teach next 20 years, then in last 10-15 years, whatever new innovative approaches I have seen in higher education, so what will be there in future? And am I ready for that? Am I learning all those skills? Am I unlearning and relearning all those skills? So this is something we have to think, and we have to make the strategies for future. Because whatever future is coming up, we don't know after 5 years what will be new technology in education. We don't know what kind of teaching learning processes we will adapt after next 5-10 years. So we have to think of different strategies, and these strategies are available on the, just click on the Google, just go on Google and ask for any library, any laboratory all over the world, and everything is available to you. All the researches you can see online, all the digital books you can see online, all the things, whatever you want to learn, it is available. So what we have to think about higher education is competencies required for future education 4.0. So if I am planning to teach for 20 years, so I have to think of talent development in myself and my students. Then communication that create engagement, community and alignment with my students, and leading change. Because every teacher's role is leading change, because every day education is changing, and we have to think on this aspect. Because if we taught music the way we teach engineering in an unbroken 4-year course, we could end up with all theory and no music. When we study music, we start to practice from the beginning, and we practice for the entire time. Means if I'm teaching music, I have to teach in a way of teaching music. I cannot teach engineering in the same way. So there is a different approach for everything. There is a different perspective for everything, because Bloom's taxonomy version 2.0 says creation is the ultimate goal. Remembering, understanding, applying, analyzing, evaluating, and recreation, the last point, that is creation, is the ultimate goal for education, and building community and reflective practitioners through technology. So higher education and all the universities in India and all over the world, definitely they are building the community, but we have to reflect on it, because formal education, formal curriculum is what we taught, and hidden curriculum is what we learn. Because we have beautiful curriculums, we have beautiful syllabi, university is trying to give you better education, but what we learned is more important. And we have to think on all the tools, because the data or analytics tsunami is about to hit the education sector. So there are so many challenges coming up, and we have to learn new skills. So in my paper, I am saying that if you want to have really innovative approaches, you have to learn new skills. 10 key skills I have mentioned here. These are all aware to you. That is complex problem solving, critical thinking, creativity, people management, coordinating with others, emotional intelligence, judgment and decision making, service orientation, negotiation, and cognitive flexibility. So when we think of different skill-oriented education, we are already giving. National education policy is emphasizing on skill orientation, but we need to be the change we want to see happen. We are the leaders we have been waiting for. So my dear friends, I'm just completing my presentation here, that we don't have to do different things. We have to do things differently. And I'm once again very much thankful to Dr. Sunita Magre ma'am and Jitendra Aherkar sir for having me here and giving me this opportunity to be associated with you all. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you so much, Dr. Sandhya Kedegan, ma'am. Thank you so much for joining with us and elaborating us the topic in such a beautiful way, what the future teacher need to do. Because now the current scenario, we are very much capable, we are very much doing well. But what we are going to do in the upcoming scenario, we have explained in such a beautiful way. Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you so much. Now, the Department of Education, University of Mumbai, in collaboration with BLM College of Commerce and Economics, has jointly organized an international conference in an innovative approach in higher education. I thank all the participants and the paper presenters for giving your valuable time and sharing your valuable time with us. Thank you so much all. I'll be sharing a link in the chat box. So by filling the link, you can avail your participation certificate. Thank you so much, Dr. Sunita Magre, ma'am, for your active cooperation, for your active support, and you have been from the entire section with us. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'll be sharing a link in the chat box so you can avail certificate by filling the feedback form. Ma'am, shall we end up the section then?
Yes, yes. Yes.
Yeah, thank you so much, ma'am. Participant, kindly fill the link, and as soon as you fill the link, you can leave the meeting then.
Thank you, sir.
ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.